This episode is powered by Safety FM.
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rated R Safety Show. Do you want to hear something extremely funny? I thought it was hilarious. I sat here for the last 20 minutes, and I thought I was live on safetyfm.com, and I also thought I was recording the podcast and the broadcast, and guess what? Someone had disconnected the microphone, and guess what? Nothing was recorded. So I guess we're going back to the top. Anyways, today is Thursday, September the 12th from 2019. It is day 255 and only 110 days remaining. So not a lot of time today to sit around and have a lot of discussions because I am tied up with some things that I need to do, so I won't bore you too much with that. So let's get you started with the news right away.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Let me give you some information that came up in the overnight. Astronomers believe that a planet discovered in 2015, more than 110 years from Earth, has water vapors on it and possibly even liquid water clouds. This is according to NBC. The planet is an odd name other than a scientific designation of K2-18b. It orbits around the red dwarf star at a distance that would make it receive similar levels of radiation as Earth. So as I look at this is a new planet, and that's kind of cool if you're trying to take a look at it, but also I take a look at this designation that was given to it of K2-18b and ask myself, did the person watch Star Wars quite frequently? You know, R2-D2, C-3PO, and all that kind of fun stuff. Because I sure as hell will tell you, that's an interesting name for a designation for a planet, unless you can tell me otherwise. Let's continue on. The Pew Fact Tank finds that 33,000 newspaper jobs were lost between 2008 and 2018. That is a 25% reduction. Worse yet, papers are the least used source of news. Meanwhile, 49% of responders say they get their news from social media, and digital-first platforms added 6,100 jobs. So I look at it and I go, well, that's kind of cool for people like me that bring you the news and share the news and do it on a digital platform. But how do you get your information? Do you get it on social media first and then say, hey, let's go look out there. What have the news sources have to say? Because that's a pretty big reduction, my friends. At least that's how I look at it. How do you look at it? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? So let's talk about the Amazon rainforest, not to be confused with the Amazon store, retailers, whatever the hell you want to call it. Researchers in the Amazon rainforest have found a species of eel that measures in around at 2.5 meters long and delivers a whooping 860-volt shock. That's about 3 times more charge than a standard outlet in your home, ladies and gentlemen, or I guess a standard electrical outlet, however you want to look at it. It is named the Allotriphus Voltae, after Italian battery inventor Alessandro Volta. So think about that real quick. Imagine how when you get shocked at home, how bad that shit hurts. Imagine being shocked by one of these eels while you're in the water at a standard whooping 860-volt shock. And who's the jalopy that got to measure that shit? Because that sounds like a sucky job.
Duh.
As we continue down the path of these news stories, let's give you this one real quick. An estimated 2,500 people are missing in the Bahamas in the wake of Hurricane Dorian. This is according to AP. A government spokesperson did clarify that the list includes names that haven't yet been checked against some of the safety shelters and shouldn't be used as a fatality figure. So far, 50 deaths have been confirmed. No spins or twists there, my friends. I'll leave that one as is. That's pretty straightforward. Now, I did find this news story this morning, and I thought it was pretty weird, but take a listen to this one. Jayesh Patel was arrested in New Delhi airport for impersonating another traveler. Here's where it gets interesting. The passport he handed security officers bore the name Amrik Singh, who was born on February 1st, 1938. Here's the issue. But Patel is 32 years old. He dyed his beard white and wore big glasses in attempt to fool security, but obviously it didn't work. Security officials say his skin just didn't look old enough to match up. Now, I will tell you there's a picture online of this particular gentleman. We'll call him gentleman. And I am going to post the link inside of the podcast format where you can take a look at it. Now, if you are listening to safetyfm.live or safetyfm.com, you can come find the podcast source where you can take a look at this picture because it's quite hilarious. Some bad news coming down for GameStop. Brick and mortar video game retailer GameStop will close between 180 and 200 stores before the end of the year, and it is expected to shut down more in the next 2 years. There are 5,700 stores open around the world. Company brass says that 95% are still profitable. Earlier this year, 50 employees were laid off as part of a larger restructuring process. Well, I have to tell you, that's kind of crappy for this to be occurring during this time of the year. But companies have to do what they have to do, but that is a crappy holiday-style gift for most. And I thought video games were always popular. I guess not. So I know over the last few weeks, I've been talking quite a bit about vegan stuff, vegan food, vegan challenge, vegan. I know sometimes people are just going to like, shut up about the veganness. But Taco Bell is highlighting the vegan offering with their new expanded menu. The items include a new black bean Crunchwrap Supreme and old school mainstays like the 7-layer burrito and the bean burrito. So when you think vegan food, do you think Taco Bell? Or do you feel the same way about Taco Bell as I spoke about yesterday about McDonald's? Just a question, of course. Let's continue on, of course. Let's go down the path. Apple has announced more details of its forthcoming paid streaming service. Apple TV Plus will cost $4.99 a month. Less than just about every other platform that's out there. But the price will only include access to 9 original programs. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck? Most notably, a TV show about TV show starring Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. Apple's betting big that the programming will be so good, even with their limited amount of programming that they have available. Now, the interesting part here is also they did make a portion of this announcement that they said that if you buy an iPad, an Apple TV, an iPhone, a computer, some of their larger items, they will include a year free of the streaming service. Now, they did not give a timeline for this, but it's interesting on how that works. What do you think? Will you be signing up for Apple TV Plus? Do you need another streaming service in your life? Now, I got a listener submission, and I thought this one was pretty good. French company liable after employee dies during sex on a business trip. Yep, you heard me correctly, my friends.
Duh.
A French company has been found liable for death of an employee who had a cardiac arrest while having sex with a stranger on a business trip. A Paris court ruled that his death was an industrial accident and that the family was entitled to compensation. The firm had argued that the man was not carrying out professional duties when he joined the guest in her hotel room, but under French law, an employer is responsible for any accident occurring during a business trip, judge says. The man named Xavier X was working as an engineer for TSO, a railroad service company based near Paris. He died at a hotel during a trip to central France in 2013 as a result of what the employer called an extramarital relationship with a perfect stranger. The company challenged a decision by state health insurance provider to regard the death as a workplace accident. The provider defended its position by insisting that sexual activity was normal, like taking a shower or a meal. In its ruling, the Paris Appeals Court upheld the view. An employee on business trip is entitled to social protection over the whole time of his mission, and regardless of the circumstances, was said. Well, holy. Think about that, my friends. Think about the agony that the family had to go through where they're discussing this extramarital affair for almost 6 years after its occurrence. And the dude died. And it's still part of the conversation. Man, does that suck. And then he died. I mean, I wonder how that whole conversation went when the lady called to say, hey, this dude just died in my room while we were having sex. There's so many more comments that can be said there. I mean, I could probably sit here the rest of the day to converse and say, maybe this happened, maybe that happened, maybe. But I don't care about maybes. You don't care about maybes. So let's continue. So let's take it from the top. Here we go. Days of the year that you can celebrate. International Day of South Corporation. South, really? National Chocolate Milkshake Day. Well, I might have to celebrate that one. National Day of Encouragement. National Policewoman Day. National Report Medicare Fraud Day. Are You OK Day? That's mostly celebrated in Australia. And last but not least, Video Games Day. Now, I have to tell you, we talked about the news story about GameStop earlier, so this is pretty shitty on GameStop to announce on Video Game Day that they decided to close all of these locations. Isn't that stupid? Talk about leaving a bad taste in someone's mouth, huh? Wow. GameStop. You've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show. I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you. Mean it. Bye.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
This episode has been powered by Safety FM.